Welcome to the Best Ever You Show with your host, Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino, best-selling author, master life coach, and founder of the Best Ever You Network. Celebrating over 15 years and millions of downloads, this show is your destination for real conversations, real stories, and real change. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and elevated. This is your moment. Let's go.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Best Ever You Show. I'm Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino.
And I am Dr. Katie Eastman. Today, we are diving into something that is on a lot of people's minds right now. Where is peace? But we're not talking about the kind of peace that's external, that is the absence of war or turmoil, but we're talking about in our own lives, our everyday life. And peace is something we can't avoid. We need to find it and we need to practice it. Because the truth is, a world that often feels like this, fast and overwhelming and demanding, well, peace isn't passive. It's something we have to make a choice about every single day. And that is a courageous one.
Yeah, it sure is. And if this topic resonates with you, you can always find more about our work and our conversations, of course, at besteveryou.com, including resources around the Peace Guidebook, which that brings us to our guest today, Ken D. Foster, who understands peace deeply. We're really proud and honored to have him with us. He's a thought leader, speaker, and a guide in personal transformation, and really known for helping people move from chaos into clarity and from like overwhelm into alignment. And I want to mention just a few more things, Katie, if I can.
Sure.
And Ken, chime in. Hi, how are you? Welcome. Thanks for being here. You have a beautiful, beautiful show called Voices of Courage show, and it's syndicated on TV, podcast, radio, and I think it's broadcast in 185 countries or even more now, Ken.
Yeah, even more.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to be here with both of you today, and it's a subject that right now in our world, with the wars going on and new wars being started, it seems like every day, that how do we maintain peace in a world that's filled with chaos? And I think it's a really good subject. I'm happy to discuss that today with everybody.
Yeah, we'd love that. And for those of you listening and watching, you can learn more about Ken at kendfoster.com, voicesofcourage.us, and couragetochange.us. So, Katie, do you want to talk a little bit about his books too, and then we'll get into it? We've got questions fired up for you, Ken, so get ready.
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, Ken is the author of The Courage to Change Everything, Daily Strategies and Essential Wisdom to Awaken Your Inner Genius, and ask you how to succeed 1,001 extraordinary questions to create life-changing results. So that's a mouthful. But basically, he is a guy who talks about how to change, and we are all about that. So today we're talking about what it really means to create peace in your life and how to move from chaos to coherence and how small intentional shifts can change everything. So Ken, thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And by the way, congratulations on your new book, getting that into the world. I'm so happy for both of you. I know what it takes to get a book in the world. So it's a big deal. So congratulations.
It's such an honor and so fun. And thank you. And we both are getting our copies this week. So it's really been fantastic.
That's awesome.
We love being able to call you and say, we need help.
Yes,
So
it's been really wonderful.
Amazing resource. So we're so grateful to have you on so many levels. So let's go right into peace, Ken, because when people hear the word peace, many people think, calm and quiet or an escape or someplace they really want to be but aren't. But you say it's not passive. But what does active peace actually look like and feel like in real life?
Boy, that's a big question. And it's a question that a lot of us have no sense of peace right now. There's just a lot going on. And I know that out there. And I'm sure that the audience that's tuning in right now is tuning in for the reason that, I'd like to have a little more peace. And peace is truly, it's our natural state. It's a natural state of our soul. And if you're thinking, well, how do I find that natural state? Well, it's actually all around us and within us. And peace can be had in any moment. But sometimes, I'm going to say this, sometimes the mind takes hold of ourselves. And I know this has happened to me, you, and everybody on the planet. And we start to kind of spin down from our peace. We start to get anxious or stressed out or worried or concerned. And all of a sudden that turns into emotion. And now we've got this emotion that we're dealing with in our physical being. And it's sometimes difficult to shift that back into a sense of peace. But quite frankly, I've learned over the years that we can shift our consciousness back into peace very quickly by just sitting down for a moment and getting still. And for me, it's usually taking 3 or 4 deep breaths in and tensing my body and double exhaling out and doing that, and then closing my eyes, raising my eyes to the spiritual eye, and just feeling a sense of peace within myself. It's always there, but peace is interesting. It's kind of like a muscle, isn't it? If we don't revisit peace, right, on a consistent basis, then we're subject to being in our heads consistently. And all of us, they tell us they got 60 to 100,000 thoughts blowing through your mind all the time, every day, right? Depending, I guess, on how brilliant you are. Maybe you have 200,000 thoughts a day. I don't know. But listen, those thoughts are either directing us to a sense of peace or a sense of clarity or a sense of chaos, right? So personally, I like to stay on the side of peace, because when I'm in peace, I get clarity. Does that make sense?
It does. And one of the things that we say in the Peace Guidebook is we talk about a peaceful pause.
Yeah.
And that's really what you're talking about, is taking that reflective time. And that's important because it takes resetting our brains to start new thoughts. And we emphasize that people don't stop long enough to ask themselves, how can I be more peaceful?
Yeah.
So from a mind-body perspective, what do you think's happening internally when someone feels overwhelmed, which is what a lot of people are feeling right now? And
Well, I think
how does that shift?
we can ask anybody that's listening right now. How do you feel when you're not at peace? Are you feeling stressed out? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling? There are states of feeling, and we, if we're in that place, what I found, I'll just mention this. You said the pause in the book. We got to learn how to pause.
Yeah.
Not just once or twice a day. Not like I meditate every morning and every evening. I've been doing that for 30 plus years. And that's because I've learned stillness is truly the price of greatness, right? As we tune into our own stillness, what happens, I can say in a metaphysical level, what happens on a metaphysical level as we tune into a super conscious state, which is it's called the universal mind, collective consciousness, the mind of God. There's a lot of names for this, but stillness is how we tune into that. And when we tune into that, what we get are downloads of whatever we're focusing on. We get insight, we get intuition, I guess is what we would call it, into what it is we need to do next. And so if we're asking ourselves, well, how do I get to a state of peace, of true peace in my life? I'll tell you a story before I go there. There's a man, you probably heard of him. His name is, maybe not, Lester Levinson. You ever heard of Lester Levinson? Anybody?
I haven't.
Okay, Lester was a real estate developer in New York. And Lester was very wealthy, doing really great. But he landed in the hospital and the doctors gave him 30 days to live. And he thought to himself, well, if I'm going to live for another 30 days, I want to be happy. I just want to be happy. How do I get happy? I'm not happy. I'm overwhelmed. I'm pissed off. I'm not stressed out. The doctors are doing all that. How do I get there? And he got still in that hospital bed and he got a download. And the download was, you need to ask yourself, Lester, 3 questions. Number 1, think about something that you didn't like in your life, Lester, and then ask, could I let it go? The second question was, would I let it go? And the third question was, when? Could I let it go? Would I let it go? And when? And he eventually developed something called the Sedona method, which uses those 3 questions to bring happiness and release of stress to people in the world. So and of course, I wrote the book called Ask and You Will Succeed, 1,001 Ordinary Questions to Create Extraordinary Results. Well, the extraordinary results don't happen until we're at a place of peace and stillness, because we can't tap into the higher realms of consciousness that we all carry within us. We carry it within. We're all connected. I'm connected to you. You're connected to me. It's really living from a place of oneness. And when we learn that we're all connected, and we are not, the neuroscientists, the quantum physicists, the quantum mechanics, all have shown us now in the micro and the macro, everything is entangled, right? Everything is connected. And we are the field, right? We are the field, right? Everybody is the field. The field isn't something outside of yourself. It's right here with us. So if we're choosing to pretend like, well, we can't really have any peace in our life, we will never will, I'm going to stay in overwhelm. That's you kind of experiencing you in overwhelm. And if you want to experiencing you, the presence of the divine soul within you in peace, then you have to set your intention to get back to that place on a consistent basis, and you will. We all can. It's amazing. It's all an inside job.
Yes.
I know Katie and I really like to reach, everyday people, and, even the newbies, beginners to this process, and even people who think, you hear a lot of people say, peace is for somebody else. It's for, the government to figure out, or, your circumstances are better than mine, whatever it is, but they don't feel like peace is readily accessible. And all of us carry around stress. It's personal, it's professional, it's even global, and so forth. How do you suggest we reach those people? For example, with this show, and just the everyday person who just doesn't feel so great, who thinks peace is just some distant thing.
Yeah. Well, breath is the bridge to calmness. Breath, your breath. It's that simple. So it's if you're if you're someone that really wants to experience peace, as we suggested, a pause would be good, or that place where you just take a breath in, tense your body up, and double exhale out. Start to get tuned with your breath. Here's the key to breath: the faster, the more thoughts you have, the quicker you're breathing. And when you can start to still your mind, you can still your breath. In fact, with advanced yoga techniques, you can go into a place of breathlessness. And I think, even though if you're just starting out on this path and you're wondering, I just want to have some peace in my life, this is a good thing for you to learn how to just get still with yourself, go out in nature, go out, sit by the ocean, go into the forest, somewhere where you feel a sense of peace, and make that a consistent effort. And I'd like to say something for the ones that really want to take it to the next level. I'd encourage you to create a 7-day peace challenge for yourself. 7 days. And I encourage you to notice what brings you peace and what brings you anxiety. So if you're watching the news and you're feeling anxious, you're going to turn that off for 7 days. If there's, maybe it's your mother-in-law gets you upset. I don't know. But, for 7 days, we're just going to tune off the mother-in-law. Okay. It's just a place where you can reset your own thinking. And by the way, a lot of times it's not the mother-in-law that's causing you stress. It's what you perceive is she is teaching you or telling you or not telling you or whatever. There's something inside of you that you need to make peace with, right? So on my site, there is a website. If you go to my website, kendfoster.com, there's a release process there. It's free. You scroll down the page on the home page. It's called the release process, and you can get it for free. And that'll help you do a subconscious dump of anything that's creating anxiety in your life. Might take you a couple hours to do it. but it'll be well worth it. And what'll happen is it'll be part of your peace process for 7 days to really reestablish that sense of peace within your soul.
I love it.
Wonderful. So you mentioned yoga, Ken, and when I was looking at your website, I noticed that you really follow the teachings of Yogananda, and I've just recently learned about and read his book. And so how do those teachings inform your ideas of courage and peace?
Well, those teachings from Yogananda are really teachings from, I would say, a higher age. And what I mean by that is in the Vedic scriptures that are tens of thousands of years old, they go back eons that, way back in before we had written records. But they talk about the Vedic astrology where we have 12,000 years. I'll just give you the quick version. 12,000 years descending in consciousness and 12,000 years ascending in consciousness. And right now we just came out of it 1800 and something, 56 or so, 1860. Anyway, 58, I think it was. We came out of what was known as the Kali Yuga, which is a very dark age. And we're now in Dwapara Yuga, and we're about at 6 o'clock on the clock, right? So we're just starting back up in the higher realms of consciousness. And of course, in the dark ages, man is only in material. All he can see is taste, touch, feel is in the material age, right? We're now in the atomic age where electricity came in. People start to understand energy. They understand about energy healing and that type of thing. And the next stage in Dwapara Yuga, in Tetra Yuga, what happens is the masses start to understand about mental healing, and eventually about in the higher ages we cross it. We're one with the divine in the God consciousness, where we can manifest anything instantly. We're really heaven on earth, right? So we're in a lower age, and so Yogananda came to teach and bring the higher teachings in. And no matter what age we come into, Jesus was in the Kali Yuga, but he brought the example of the Sattva Yuga. Okay, he brought the example of who we are and where we can go, right? So Yogananda brought the teachings of helping people to understand not only the different yugas, but understanding the different levels of consciousness to get one into the higher realms of consciousness, right? So you can he's got a lot of videos up on YouTube. If you look for Self-Realization Fellowship on YouTube, you can find a lot of their videos up there and get in tune with some of those teachings. But I'll just say this for me. I was very lost, I would say, when I found those teachings. Didn't know who I was, didn't know what the purpose of life really was for me, didn't know what my path or purpose in life was, didn't really know what the next steps in my life would be. And of course, all that's been resolved. I understand all of that now. So, if somebody's out there and they're wondering, well, I'm not sure what to go to, that could be one place that if you're called to,
Can you go back to that moment? Because I think a lot of people can relate to it.
But it is
complete
a very
self-confusion,
high level of
where you don't
understanding
know where you're turning next or what you're doing or why you're here,
Yeah, I was
what your
gonna
purpose
ask,
is, what your
where would
passions
people
are,
start
any of it.
right there? Just
Can you
go
take
head
us
to
back to
YouTube
that
or
moment
website
or
or
moments
Oh
for
yeah,
you
they go to
personally, so that we
they go to
can know what your journey's been like?
srf.org.
Oh, yeah,
SRF,
sure.
yeah.
I've
Self-Realization
gone through
Fellowship, srf.org.
srf.org.
I was
Perfect.
living in Encinitas.
yeah.
And by the way, they have lessons. I was living in a one-bedroom place and living lessons you get every week. Are alcoholics, and read the lessons. And learn, given that up. Learn how to meditate and learn how to go deep. And I'm meditating. I've learned to meditate. I'm learning to.
Can you go
to
back
be
just a little
calm
bit?
be
And
still.
I apologize if we go a little long, but we love having you as a guest.
I'm in a
so
place
is that okay?
where I'm
Can you go back to that
deeply
moment? Because I think a lot of people can relate to it.
stressed
That
out
moment of
because I
just
feel my
complete
life is
self-confusion,
over at the time.
where you don't know where you're turning next, or what you're doing, why you're here, what your purpose is, what your passions are, any of it. Can you take us back to that moment?
And I just
for
cried.
Moments for you personally,
letting everything
so
out,
that we
I
can
didn't
know what your journey's been like.
Anything. I thought everything was over.
Sure.
And why you felt that way, if you don't mind.
In that
Oh,
moment,
yeah, sure.
I'd gone through a divorce. I was living in Encinitas at the time. I was living in a one-bedroom place. I was employed at the two people La Jolla Playhouse, and I'm making cold calls. Given that up in the night, in the evening, to try to and I'm meditating. I've learned to meditate. I'm learning, to be calm and be still for the seasons. And I'm in a place where I'm deeply sad. I'm thinking to myself, it's got to be out because I feel my life is over making cold calls at night. And I'm living in this. I remember going to a friend of mine and just feeling lost. I prayed about it. I had faith about it, and I just cried. Me that knew that letting I was going to find because I didn't know and anything. I thought everything was over, and he said, "Hey, Ken, this guy Tony Robbins is hiring." I don't know, maybe a week or two later. By the way, I had been, and also a friend called me. I had started coaching by then. I'd been a coach, but I was dead. I was also I was employed at the La Jolla Playhouse. So I was making cold calls. Tony Robbins want with a guy in the night, in the evening, making cold calls to try to sign up people for membership. He doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't have his path. Doesn't know the season. And I couldn't, for the life of me, think why this guy would want to hire me. I was there. My friend believed in him. I'm thinking to myself, listen, you're the best person for that job. So something lit inside of me, living in this one-bedroom apartment. And what happened was, and just feeling fire came flowing. So I prayed about it. I had faith. And I thought to myself, something about me that knew that I was going to find my way out. Done in years. I'm going to play 100%. A friend of mine called. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get this job at Tony Robbins, and I'm going to write the most amazing resume and the most, by the way, I had compelling letter I've ever written in my life. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm just going to coach. And I did. And long story short, I beat out, they told me 500 applicants to get the job. What would Tony Robbins want with a guy that's making cold calls on everything changed. And now I'm leading. He doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't have his path. Doesn't know them around. And I thought I couldn't for the life of me think why this guy would want to hire me. That was already there. But my friend believed in me, and he said, shifted? Listen, you're the best person for that job. The only thing that shifted was my belief in myself, my conviction, and my faith. That was it. That's the only thing that shifted. And what happened was this fire, I'm going to bring it out, flowing, do whatever it takes. And I thought to myself, well, when I got it, I'm going to do what I haven't done in years. I'm going to play 100% full out. So I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get this job at Tony Robbins. But I'm going to write the most amazing resume, like the most victim, compelling letter I've ever written in my life. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm just going to life circumstances. And I did. And long story short, I beat out. That's all 500 applicants. So if we're going to make up something, you might as well make up something really good. And so in that moment.
Katie, I got one more follow-up question. Yeah, I love that. So if you're going to make up something, make it good.
And I ended up traveling
can
with
you do? We always ask about
and it's
the kindergarten in you. Tell us about kindergarten. Ken. Who were you in kindergarten?
What was the what?
And how does it relate
shifted?
To any of that? If it does,
the only thing that shifted was my
or
belief.
Preschool, if you prefer.
I'm in kindergarten. I'm sitting in a sandbox. That's the only thing that playing in the sand, and it's warm. It's there, and I'm feeling the sand. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And I'm thinking to myself, and when I got it, a lot of friends. I got it. I'd like to have some friends in my life because I didn't have friends at that time. So it's in all of us. And I remember in kindergarten, I didn't know how that was going to happen. But then my dad, like the time he was a police officer, that it's not and there. So he came that because of life circumstances. And done. He was an influencer, right? That's all. So now everybody wanted to know. We're going to make up something, right? You might as well make up something. There, they wanted to know me, so I was popular.
Katie, I got one more follow-up question. Yeah, I love that. So if you're going to make up something, make it good. Steve Farrell, and a few years back, I co-produced the kindergarten in you. Tell us about kindergarten, Ken. Who were you in kindergarten, and how does it relate to any of that, if it does?
Because how we did it was the same thing I did in kindergarten. Cool. We got influencers to come into the summit, playing in the sand. That really made a difference. And I'm feeling the sand. Everybody wanted to see those influencers, right? I'd like to have
Same
a
thing
lot
I
of
learned in
friends.
kindergarten.
I'd like to have
applied
some
there.
friends around
And
because
have
I
been
didn't
applying
have
in my whole
friends at
life.
that time.
Yeah.
And if
then
you
I
want to,
remember,
market your
remember in
book, you get a bunch of
kindergarten, I didn't know how
influencers
that
that
was
love
going to
your
happen.
book,
But then
and go,
my
you got
dad
to get
at
this
the time,
book.
he was
I'm one of
police
those
officer.
influencers today,
And so
and I
he came
recommend you go
and
get
talked
their
to the
book 'cause
kindergarten
it's an awesome
class.
book. And he
Thank
was an
you.
influencer, right? So now
just before
everybody
we
wanted
got
to
on
know
the
me in
air,
kindergarten.
I got a phone
Right,
call
because
from
my
a
dad was
client.
there. They
I'm a
wanted to know me,
therapist.
so I was popular.
And she
I
asked
probably
me, she
never
said she's
forgot
overwhelmed.
that.
She needs help.
In fact, you guys have
She's
worked with
just
Steve Farrell,
completely
and
doesn't know where to
a few
start.
years back,
So
I
Ken, for somebody
co-produced
listening
the
right now who's
the
overwhelmed,
Global Oneness Summit
both
with Adam
what's
Hall.
going on in their personal
And
life,
we
what's
broke all
going on
kinds
in
of
the
records for
world.
Steve
Where do
because
they start?
how we did it was the same thing I did in kindergarten, right?
Start by
we got
affirming
influencers
the goodness
to come
inside of
into
your own
the
heart.
summit that
Start by
really
affirming
made
yourself.
a difference. Like they
I'm one
influenced
with
everybody
God.
wanted to see those
God
influencers,
loves me.
right?
My
So it's
friends
the
love
same
me.
thing I
My
learned in
family
kindergarten.
loves
I
me.
applied there.
Jesus
and have been
loves me.
applying in my whole life.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to
If
be
you want
okay.
to, if you want to market
Start
your
with
book,
some
you get a
simple
bunch of influencers
affirmations
that love your book
affirming
and
the
go,
truth,
"You got to get this
right?
book."
It's
I'm one of
okay.
those
This too
influencers
shall
today,
pass.
and I
My
recommend you
four
go get
favorite
their
words.
book.
This
It's
too
an
shall
awesome
pass.
book.
Right? It will
Thank
pass.
you.
Right? This too shall
So
pass.
just before
And
we
we
got
start
on the
we
air,
start
I got a
affirming
phone
the
call
truth,
from a
right?
client.
And of
I'm
course,
a
the
therapist.
next step is,
And she
she's
asked
already
me,
doing
she
the
said
right thing.
she's
Reach out,
overwhelmed.
get some help.
She needs help.
Get some help.
She's just completely doesn't
Jesus
know where to
taught
start.
us, where
So
two or
Ken,
more
for
gathered,
somebody
there I
listening
am.
right
Okay?
now who's
Go
overwhelmed,
find somebody that
both
wants to be
what's going
with
on in
you
their
and help
personal
you
life,
and
what's going
support
on
you
in
and
the
be
world,
vulnerable
where
and
do
tell
they
them how
start?
miserable you are and how worried you are and everything.
Start
Just
by
get it out of yourself.
affirming the goodness inside
when
of your
it's
own
gone,
heart.
it's gone.
You don't
Start by
repeat that
affirming
over
yourself.
and over again. You don't repeat the
I'm
story
one
and
with
tell the
God.
story to everybody.
God loves
you
me.
release it.
My
you
friends
let
love
go,
me.
and you
My
start telling
family
yourself
loves
the
me.
truth. You're a powerful
Jesus
being.
loves me.
You have light
I'm
inside
okay.
of you, just like
I'm
I
going to
have
be
in me.
okay.
You
Start
can
with
change,
some simple
you can grow, you can
affirmations
evolve,
affirming
you can be
the
something
truth,
different
right?
tomorrow than you are
It's okay.
today.
This
just
too
like I
shall
told the
pass.
story.
My
When,
four
instantly
favorite words.
things
This
shifted
too
with
shall
me. When
pass.
I shift,
Right?
it will
You
pass.
have to shift, right? This
And
too
we can
shall
all
pass.
do it. And even
And
if
we
it's
start
temporary,
affirming
if you're shifting, you
the
feel
truth,
good for 5
right?
minutes.
And of
great.
course, the next
do it
step
again.
is,
She's
do it
already doing the
again
right thing.
and
Reach
do it
out and
again
get some help
until you start
get
creating.
some help.
Reprogramming that thinking.
Jesus
that you
told and
are
taught
a
us,
divine
where
child.
two
of the
or
Most
more
High,
gathered, there
and
I
you can
am.
accomplish
Okay?
whatever you want.
Go
in this
find
world.
somebody that
Yes,
wants
and
to
that's
be
what we mean
with
by
you and
practicing
help you
peace.
and support you and be
It's that
vulnerable
inner peace.
and tell them how
And
miserable
it's so
you are and how
important, and
worried
it's
you are and
active.
everything. Just get
It's
it
an
out of
active
yourself.
practice.
But
Thank
then
you.
when it's gone,
Ken,
it's
do you have
gone.
that
You
on
don't repeat
autopilot?
that over and over again. You
Or
don't
do you
repeat the
slip up?
story
Like
and tell the
yesterday, I
story
called
to
Katie, and
everybody.
not frustrated with
release it,
Katie, but
you
just
let
frustrated
go,
with
and you
something.
start
And I'm
telling
like, it was
yourself
like
the
phone a
truth.
friend time.
You're a powerful
Katie,
being. You have
help,
light
kind of
inside
thing.
of you, just like I
Do you
have
have
in me.
moments like that,
You
or do
can
you just have,
change, you can
gratitude?
grow, you can evolve,
I
you
had a
can
moment
be
like that
something
just before
different
we did the
tomorrow than
recording.
you are
I
today.
was,
Just like I told the story.
I haven't been feeling well for a
instantly
couple
things
days, and I
shifted
was-
with me.
I
What
was
happened?
thinking,
I shifted.
am I going
You
to
have to
cancel
shift,
this, or I'm
and we
going
can all
to
do
go
it.
do this?
And even if
I'm
it's
like,
temporary,
you know
if you
what?
shift
I
and
need
you
to
feel
change
good
two
for
things.
5
I need to
minutes,
change my
great.
focus.
Then do it
Right?
again.
Because that'll change,
Do it again.
my focus
Do
and
it
my
again
physiology.
until you
right?
start
I need to
creating
move.
that
I need to
reprogramming
change
that
my
thinking
focus.
that you are
And I
a
know,
divine
and
child
you
of the
know, and I
Most
practice
High,
the same
and
thing
you
I
can
just told
accomplish whatever you
the
want in
audience.
this
I
world.
was saying that to
Yes,
myself.
and that's
this
what
morning.
we mean by practicing
And,
peace.
Yeah. So
It's
yeah,
that
it
inner
happens.
peace.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and it's so important.
You know,
and it's
it's
active. It's an active practice.
it's
Thank
just
you.
Ken,
a
do you
That's
have
an
that
practice.
on
active
It's
practice.
autopilot?
you
Or
know,
do you
sometimes I
slip
go
up?
to
Like
the
yesterday,
gym.
I called Katie,
I
and
usually don't
not
go to the
frustrated
gym.
with Katie,
I
but
ride
just
bikes
frustrated
all
with
the time,
something. And I'm
right?
like, it was like
But
phone a
sometimes
friend
if I
time.
don't get on the
Katie,
bike for a week or two,
help,
does that mean
kind
it
of
all
thing.
goes away? No, of
Do you have
course not.
moments
I
like
get
that,
back
or
on
do
the
you just
bike and
have,
I'm right back where I was.
gratitude?
I had a moment like that
We
just
could do that
before
with
we
any
did a recording. I was,
But we do that with our
you
mind
know,
too.
I
okay?
haven't been
So when
feeling
you have
well
the
for a couple
habits of
days,
being
and I was
positive, being
I
up,
was
being
thinking,
joyful, being
am
happy,
I going
being
to
peace,
cancel this, or I'm going to
you get off track,
do this?
you know
And
how
I'm
to
like,
get back on.
you know what? I need to
get back
change
on a
two
horse.
things. I
And
need
we-
to change my
We
focus.
just have to do it.
All right, because
all.
my focus and my
Right.
physiology.
Very simple.
Right, I need
just
to move.
okay,
I need to change my focus.
I don't feel good.
And I know,
Here's
and
the key,
and I
though.
practice the same thing I just told the
and this
audience.
is
I
where
was saying
this is
that
the
to
shift
myself this morning.
that
and
I had to learn.
So
a lot of
yeah,
people
it
have to learn.
happens.
It's really not outside.
It's not your environment. It's not.
It's just a practice.
It's not your environment. It's not another person. There's nothing to blame. There's nobody out there that's creating this for you.
I ride bikes
choices
all the time, right?
We have made ourselves.
Sometimes I don't get on the bike for a week or two. Does that mean it all goes away? No, of course not.
So
I
we
get
have to
back on the bike and I'm right back where I was,
for it.
right? Now,
When I say that,
we can do that with any
look
kind of
at your
sport,
environment,
really. But we do that with
surrounded
our mind
people
too.
that are
Okay, so when you have the
tearing you
habits
down
of
or
being
what
positive,
have you,
being
you
up,
gotta
being
change
joyful,
that
being
environment.
happy, being
Or
peace,
maybe
right?
you have to have a feng
you
shui
get off
master
track,
come
you know
into
how to
your
get
home
back on 'em.
and
Change
get
up
back
the
on a
energy
horse. And
in
we-
your home because
just have to
you
do-
walk into your
that's all
office
I
and
do.
you always feel like, oh, this
Right.
very
I
feels
wouldn't
terrible.
I
Well,
just
you need
like,
to do something
okay, you know,
environmentally.
I don't feel
But
good.
truly,
Here's
all of
the
that
key, though.
is because of choices that we're making.
And this
or
is
not
where
making.
this is the shift.
And for me,
that
there's
I
practice
had
that
to learn.
I
A lot of
teach
people
all
have
my
to learn.
clients. And,
It's
it's really not outside of
Yeah,
yourself.
heck, this
It's
practice
not
is
used
used
in the military and
let's
in
be
the
real.
Blue Angels.
It's not your
friend of mine
environment.
uses
It's
this
not another
practice every
person.
time they
There's
do
nothing
for
to
a flight.
blame.
It's
There's
very
nobody
simple.
out
At the
there
end of
that's
the day, we
creating
just
this for
ask
you.
what
It's the
worked,
choices that
what didn't
we
work,
have made
and
ourselves
what we can do tomorrow
that
to
creates the
improve.
states of
That's
mind
it.
that are
Real
going
simple.
on within us.
What worked, what didn't
right?
work, what can I
So
do
we have to take
tomorrow
100%
Now,
responsibility.
those are great
for it.
questions, but
Now,
if we don't
when
apply
I say
them,
that, of course,
and,
if you look at
same
your
old, same
environment and you're surrounded
if
with
you do
people
apply
that
that,
are
imagine
tearing you
365
down or what have
days
you,
from
you're
now,
gonna change
you've
that
changed
environment.
300,
Or maybe you have to have a feng shui master come into your home.
Your life can't
and
be the
change
same.
up the energy.
It'll be
in your
much
home
better
because
you walk
Right.
into your office and you always feel like, oh, this
You're on,
feels
Katie.
terrible. Well, you need to do something
Okay.
environmentally.
So
But
you talk a
truly,
lot
all
about
of that is
alignment.
because of choices that
And
we're making
what do you
or
mean
not
by
making.
alignment? Because
And
I
for
use the
me,
language
there's,
all the time,
practice
but a
that
lot of people don't know what
I
they mean.
teach all my
what it means.
clients, and
Yeah, heck, this
alignment
practice
is aligning
used with our-
in the military
higher
and
self.
in the Blue Angels.
soul.
friend of
With
mine
me.
uses
I would
practice
just
every
call it
time they do
nature.
for a flight. It's
Right.
very simple.
Aligning
At the
with
end of the day,
nature.
we just ask. So you
What
ever
worked,
walked into a
what
forest
didn't work,
and all of a
and
sudden
what we can do
just-
tomorrow to
something
improve.
happens.
That's
You
it.
Just real
Feel
simple.
yourself
What
expand.
worked, what didn't work,
Feel
what can I
yourself
do
just
tomorrow to
connected
improve?
to everything.
Now,
There's
those are
something
great
there.
questions, but if we don't apply them, and
That's
same old,
that's
same
the
old.
alignment we're
But
talking
if we do apply
You're
that,
just completely
imagine
aligned with your
365 days from now,
Alignment
you've changed 300 or
is-
improved 365 different things.
I think
in
it
your
comes
life.
from an
Your
understanding.
life can't be the same. It'll be much better.
So I guess the teaching
Right.
is that we've touched
You're on,
on
Katie.
it. We really are
Okay.
one. We really, it's
So
a teaching
you
of
talk a
oneness.
lot
I've
about
been working with Dr.
alignment.
Irvin Laszlo for the last
And
couple of years.
what do you
He's,
mean by alignment?
been
Because I
nominated
use
for
the
Nobel
language all the time,
Prize,
but a lot of people don't know
twice.
what they
He's,
mean.
worked
what
in
it
the United
means.
Nations for years, and his whole
Alignment
mission
is
around
aligning
peace,
with our
right?
with our
and
higher self.
He's written 106 books
with our soul.
and
With
I would just call it
he,
nature.
after all of that,
right?
aligning with
Irvin and I
nature.
have been putting out the.
So you ever walked
his,
into a forest and all of a sudden you
upshift
just
conversations
something happens and
for the
you
last
just
couple of years.
feel yourself.
The conversations
expand, you
are
feel yourself
interviewing
just connected to
individuals
everything.
about
There's
oneness,
something there
about living from a place of
and
oneness.
that's-
What does that
that's the
really
alignment
mean? We're talking about.
And
You're just
oneness
completely
is a
aligned with
place
your nature.
where we become coherent.
Alignment,
Our
energy,
is-
of frequency, of vibration. I think it
aligns
comes from an
with
understanding
the soul within ourselves with
each
I guess
other
the teaching
and
is
with that.
nature. So it's kind of
We've
an
touched on it.
intellectual
We're
concept.
really,
but it's also
we really
a
are
feeling.
one. We really,
The
that,
feeling
it's a
is what I
teaching of
gave you when
oneness.
you walk
I've been
into
working
nature,
with Dr.
or you
Irvin
sit
Laszlo
to
for the last
meditate
couple of
for
years.
10
He's
minutes, and all of a
been
sudden
nominated for the
you
Nobel
just feel
Prize
this alignment
twice
with
He's
yourself,
worked in the
with your
United
soul,
Nations
with
for
everything.
years, and
it's a
his whole
place
mission is
where
around
deep
peace, right?
comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's written
in fact,
106 books. In my
and,
meditation process,
after
Wow.
all of that,
I know
Irvin,
that
Irvin and I
I've
have been
touched
putting
the
out
face of
the
God or the presence
his,
of God.
when I feel peace,
Upshift conversations.
that's the first
the
sign
last couple of
is
years.
peace.
The conversations
And that
are
peace is
interviewing
really the
individuals
coherence
about oneness,
of alignment
about living
that we
from a
we
place
can all
of
carry.
oneness. What does
The
that
key
really
is
mean?
we can all do this in
And
meditation.
oneness is a
we can all do
place
this in
where
nature.
we become
But
coherent.
the key is how do we
our
keep
energy,
it
our
going?
frequency, our vibration
That's
aligns with
right?
the soul
So
within ourselves.
when I first started
with
this,
each
I could
other
keep it going
with
for
nature. So it's kind of an intellectual concept, but it's also a feeling.
And then, you know, I'd
the
go
feeling
about
was
my
what I
day,
gave you
and
when
I'd
you
get
walk
chaotic
into
and
nature,
overwhelmed,
or
and
you
then
sit
I'd go
to
back and
meditate in the evening,
10
and
minutes,
oh
and
yeah,
all of a sudden,
another 10 minutes.
you just feel this
But eventually,
alignment with yourself,
as we
with your
practice
soul,
peace,
with everything.
as we practice what's
And
in your
it's a
book,
place
as we
where
practice
deep
the,
peace comes from.
what we're talking about
And
here,
in fact,
on a consistent basis,
in my
we
meditation
eventually
process,
it expands. So instead of 10
I know
minutes,
that
it's
I've
15
touched
or
the
20,
face of
or
God.
now you've got
or
a half a day,
presence
or now
of
you've got a
God.
whole day.
When I feel peace,
or now you have 7
that's
days.
the first sign,
20
is
days.
peace.
And that peace is really the coherence
it's exponential
of alignment.
And the reason for that is because we are realigning
the key
ourselves.
is we can all do this in meditation. We can all do this in nature.
This
But the
presence.
key is how do we keep
God
it going
within us, right?
Okay, that's
Right.
so.
Yep.
All right,
You know, I remember when I first started this, I could keep it going for. And I met this guy. His name was
5
Covey.
minutes, 10 minutes, maybe.
Covey, he told me,
and
he
then,
says,
you know,
Ken,
I'd go about my day and I'd get chaotic
you don't
and
know this
overwhelmed
now,
and
but
everything.
you
And I'd go
will. He
back and
says,
meditate.
we pray from God to God.
10 minutes of it.
And I went
But eventually,
from God to God. That drove
as
me
we
crazy
practice
for years. I
peace,
couldn't
Oh,
as we
wow.
practice what's
right?
in your book,
Wow.
as we
From God to
practice
God.
the
And
of
what
course,
we're
we all
talking
get
about
it now.
here,
You know, today
on a
it's
consistent
that's right.
basis.
That's right.
That's what we're
Eventually,
doing.
it expands. So instead of 10
And
minutes,
so
it's 15.
that's
or 20.
when
Or now
we
you've
are
got a half a
aligned with
day,
that
or now you got a
coherence,
whole
by the
day of
way.
peace.
And
now you
when
have
we
7 days.
understand what
20
that
days
meant
of peace.
that I just said.
And
okay.
You can pretty much
it's
also
exponential.
manifest
And
anything
the reason
you
for
want
that is
in
because
this
we are
world.
realigning
Because
ourselves,
you're aligned with your nature, you're
with
aligned
this
with the
higher
soul
soul,
wisdom,
this-
with
this
this
presence
soul
that's within all of
willpower,
us, God
and you
within
can
us,
start
right?
to align with that.
So,
and you will know.
you know,
It's
I
like
remember when I
when
first
you say
first
"Thy will
decided
be
to quit
done,"
alcohol,
you
and I
have
met this
aligned
guy.
100 when
His
you're
name was
100%
Covey.
coherence. And
It's
Covey,
happening.
he told
It's
me,
happening.
he says, Ken,
So
there's a lot of practice.
you
There's a
don't
lot of
know this
reasons
now,
that we
but
want
you
to learn
will. He
about
says,
peace.
we
and
pray
go deep
from
in
God
peace.
to God.
Yes.
And I
So
went,
if you
from
could leave
God
our
to God.
listeners
That drove
with
me
one
crazy for
message.
years. I
Oh,
couldn't figure that out.
Especially for
right?
everybody who's
Wow.
From God to
navigating
God.
all the
And
uncertainty right now.
of course, we
Just
all
gonna
get it now.
generalize there and just
today
lump
it's
everybody in
that's right.
together.
That's right. That's what
What
we're
would
doing.
you want everybody to remember
And
about
so
peace and living
that's
peacefully?
when we are
So
aligned
I'll
with
give
that
you a few
coherence,
steps,
by the
okay?
way, and
Number
when
one is
we
forgiveness.
understand
Forgiveness
what that meant
restores
that I
inner
just
balance,
said,
right?
okay,
Forgive yourself.
you can
forgive
pretty
your nation.
much also
forgive
manifest anything
friends,
you
your
want
family,
in
forgive
this world
anything that happened this
because you're
lifetime, other
aligned
lifetimes,
with your
just
nature.
forgive it,
You're
let
aligned
it
with
go.
the soul
Okay?
wisdom,
Number
with
one.
the soul willpower, and you can start to
two,
align with that. And
make a
you will
conscious
know.
effort to
It's like
detach from
when you
suffering.
say "Thy will
Okay?
be done," you
Detach.
have aligned
Detach from
100.
it.
When you're 100%,
It's not something you
coherence,
have to go through in
it's
this
happening.
lifetime. It's happening.
It's suffering is optional.
So,
There's
okay,
a
we
lot
all
of
go through
practice, there's a lot of
lessons,
reasons that we
challenges,
want to learn
problems,
about peace
whatever.
and
Okay?
go deep
Yes.
in
But the
peace.
suffering starts in the
Yes.
mind.
So
it
if you
starts with
could leave our
those thoughts
listeners
of, oh
with
gosh,
one
why
message,
me? Why do I have to go through this? I
especially for
hate
everybody
this. I don't want
who's
to do this.
navigating
Blah blah blah.
all the
Right?
uncertainty right now.
That creates
Just
suffering.
going to generalize there and just
Realize
lump everybody in
that,
together.
You know, the masters on
What
this
would
planet,
you want
they
everybody
don't
to
have,
remember
they don't
about peace
procrastinate.
and
Something
living
shows up
peacefully?
in their life,
So
they
here,
take
I'll
care
give
of
you a
it.
few
You move on,
steps. Okay?
right? They don't want to suffer.
Number one,
They just handle it.
forgiveness.
Okay?
Forgiveness restores
Procrastination
inner balance.
creates suffering.
Right?
All right?
Forgive yourself.
Detach
From yourself.
Forgive your
right?
nation.
Forgive
Learn
your
again to summarize.
friends, your family.
You know,
forgive.
be connected to your
anything that
breath.
happened this lifetime, other
Spend
lifetimes.
time in
Just
nature.
forgive it. Let it
Learn
go.
to meditate. Okay, number one,
And allow yourself to. This all takes
number
courage.
two, I'll say this: all this takes courage.
Make a
What is
conscious
courage?
effort to detach
First of all,
from
courage doesn't
suffering.
show up until you walk
Okay?
into the unknown.
Detach.
So I'm
Detach
giving you
from
some
it.
steps.
It's
Walk
not
into the
something you
unknown.
have to go
Courage
through
will
in
show
this
up. What
lifetime.
is courage? It's an
suffering
energy
is
frequency.
optional.
It's a
Okay?
vibration.
We all go through
It's
lessons,
one of those
challenges,
alignment
vibrations,
problems,
whatever.
right? That
Okay?
helps us align
But
with
the
our
suffering
with
starts
our,
in the mind.
coherently.
You
With
know,
our
it
own
starts
nature.
with those thoughts.
So
Oh,
if you
gosh,
step into
why
courage
me?
and do
Why
what
do
I
have
just
to go
said to
through
you,
this? I hate
okay?
this. I don't want to do
Everything's going to
this.
change.
Blah blah blah.
And it's
right?
going to change in a really
That
big
creates
way.
suffering.
Okay. Realize that
Wonderful.
you know the masters on this
Ken,
planet.
I can tell
they
you
don't have,
that I'm
they don't
walking out of
procrastinate.
here
Something
to
shows
go
up in
back
their
to
life.
work and see
take care of it.
patients
They
and
move on,
clients,
right?
and I'm
They don't want
like
to
filled
suffer.
with
They
all
just
kinds of
handle it.
ideas
Okay.
from this. You've been
Procrastination
Alienation creates suffering.
You've been wonderful.
Detach from your suffering.
And to everyone listening,
learn again, summarize.
It's a reminder that peace is not something
be connected to your breath.
that we should take for granted. It's something we practice every day.
And allow yourself
and it's something that comes in and out of our lives
whenever
we become misaligned.
First of all, courage doesn't show up until you walk into the unknown.
That's when we
so
are
I'm giving you some steps. Walk into the unknown.
And,
courage will show up. What is courage?
It's the door.
It's an energy, a frequency,
a vibration.
It's one of those alignment
vibrations.
Thank
you so much
right?
for being
It helps us align with our
Thank you for having me. It's awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Dr.
So
Katie.
you step into courage.
Thank you so much. And to everybody, just a reminder to visit kendifoster.com and besteveryou.com. And we're just grateful for the conversation and the direction.
Ken, I can tell you
I think
that
everybody needs a little bit of this or a lot of it.
Go back to work.
I think they need your book too. So where do they get your book?
All kinds of ideas.
I got to give you my own commercial for your book.
Wonderful. And to everyone listening,
well, you can head over to Amazon. It's really wherever books are sold, but I think Amazon, Barnes and Noble. We're going on a book tour.
What's the name? Give them the name.
And the Peace Guidebook, how to cultivate hope, healing, and harmony for the good of humankind. And we're so grateful to have you endorse the book and be with us in the book. And it's I have a copy over on the counter there that I'm just about to mail to you because we got our advanced copies the other day. It's so nice to hold it and see it. And the book just has an energy about it. That's hard to explain.
Thank you, Dr. Katie.
We're grateful.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And to everybody, just a reminder to visit kendifoster.com. All right, everybody. And besteveryou.com. And we're just grateful for the conversation and the direction. And I think everybody needs a little bit of this or a lot of it of this.
Well, I think they need your book too. So where do they get your book? I got to give you my own commercial for your book. Where do we get the book?
Well, you can head over to Amazon. It's really wherever books are sold, but I think Amazon, Barnes and Noble. We're going on a book tour, Ken.
What's the name? Give them the name.
The Peace Guidebook: How to Cultivate Hope, Healing, and Harmony for the Good of Humankind. And we're so grateful to have you endorse the book and be with us in the book. And it's I have a copy over on the counter there that I'm just about to mail to you because we got our advanced copies the other day. And it's so nice to hold it and see it. And the book just has an energy about it that's hard to explain. So we're grateful. Grateful for the love. So
yes.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Peace, everyone. Yeah. Peace, everybody. Peace. All right. Thanks. Take care, everybody.